The Citi Double Cash Card presents Tips for Talking Sports at the Office. Number 8, be informed.
I'm going to list some random stats that don't really mean anything.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. I'm nodding, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's not working.
Wouldn't it be great if everyone said what they meant? The Citi Double Cash Card does. It lets you earn double cash back with 1% when you buy and 1% as you pay. The Citi Double Cash Card. Double means double.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We like to get behind causes around here, and Stugotz was talking to me during the break, telling me about this Joe West story, umpire Joe West. He's a country music singer. He's been in baseball for 100 million years, and baseball just suspended him because he was asked by USA Today who's the biggest complainer in the league, and he gave some Adrian Beltre stories, and he was suspended for 3 days. And I'm wondering how we get behind that cause. Free Joe West. Like,
right.
What do we need to do because we're pro-honesty, and we're pro-guys saying interesting things. We don't think Joe West should have been suspended for that. Adrian Beltre doesn't think Joe West should have been suspended for that.
I don't think anyone thinks Joe West should be suspended for that. Adrian Beltre was actually laughing at it. They did an interview with Joe West because it coincides with him umpiring his 5,000th game in the majors. I mean, think about that. That's how long he's been around. So he took a couple of little digs at Adrian Beltre that no one cares about. Now he's suspended 3 games, and the umpires and the union, they are beside themselves. They're upset about it.
So, Mike, what can we do specifically to get behind Joe West? Now, I'd like for our resources to be spread all over the place here, because I also want to support the Colin Kaepernick, the picket outside of NFL headquarters later this month. And I'm just wondering, how do we get behind these causes? Because I want to use the power of this platform to do more than just buy shoes from LeVar Ball. I want to get behind Joe West. I want to get behind some of these things. So what can we do in the next 3 hours to make this a national cause that reverberates all over the place? Baseball taking itself very seriously here. And, I mean, Stugotz, in 2017, you tell me, you guys help me out with this. 2017. We've got so much technology. You can do everything with your phone. You don't need to have a brain or limbs. Your phone will handle everything. It'll rock climb for you. Your phone can handle everything.
Yep.
And I'm curious whether or not we can get behind this in a way that's big and reverberates, even though with all that technology we have, we still are doing in the multi-billion-dollar sport of football measurements with old guys carrying chains. And if you really think about it, why is that umpire behind the catcher? What?
Today's not the day for that, Dan.
Yeah.
That's Joe West's job.
No, but I want to talk about Joe West. 5,000
but you're minimizing
games.
his job and why he's there and his existence and everything.
No, I'm not trying to minimize it. What I'm trying to point out is Joe West is a dinosaur. In 10 years, that's going to be gone. The idea of that, we're going to be able to do it all with computers. In 10 years, that guy standing behind home plate is going to be extinct, so we need to free him and celebrate him, even though he's got strong opinions about Adrian Beltre.
It sounds like you're pro-indefinite suspension for Cowboy Joe West.
Well, no, I don't want him to lose these 3 games, but I want him in the future to not be able to do this job anymore because it's stupid that the umpire's behind home plate. Right. We could just do it with a laser.
Don't lose these 3 games. Lose your job.
That's right. Eventually, to the robot.
Eventually.
Right,
yes.
right.
Okay, I have a contact for his guy, Marty. We'll try to have Joe West on.
Okay.
Good.
Let's try. I mean, Joe West right now, it's a hard time for him. But maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't give a bleep because he's been, 5,000 games. I can do and say what I want.
No, I think he cares because I think it's without pay. So I think they're hitting him in the wallet there. So
we have an update. Marty's number no longer works, so we need to find a new contact for Cowboy Joe.
But, okay, other than getting Joe West on, though, do you have any other ideas?
Is there some sort of social media campaign we could launch? Is there anything we could do?
Something to do. Can you play some of his music? Can we lash out at Major League Baseball, a corporate partner of ESPN, by angrily playing some of Joe West's songs all over AM radio until they free him?
Playing his music is a great idea. I mean, we lost a legendary rhinestone cowboy yesterday in Glenn Campbell.
Wow.
And today,
$2.
was that a fine?
$2.
Yep.
I mean, you're wow.
All I have to do is say it is Kuiper, man.
You're not even going to fight it there.
Cool.
Yes. We lost a legendary rhinestone cowboy yesterday because Glenn Campbell died at the age of 81. You're showing off your music death muscle.
Annoying, man.
Like, I know somebody died, and I'm going to tie it to Joe West. That's even worse than what I did, which is take his job away and give it to the computers.
Anybody got change for 20?
I don't know.
That'd be a $5 fine there.
It's a bad one.
Yeah.
$5.
Anyway,
it's pretty bad.
Instead of being a music snob, which you get fined for, and instead of making bad jokes that annoy me, can you please just find Joe West's music and start playing it as we, as a show, lash out in every direction? And while I'm at it, while I'm busy lashing out, I've told you before, my father is the most valuable person at this company. The reason I say that is value. It's not because he's the best person at the company. It's because they're not paying him much of anything.
Right.
And so he's the star of a TV show. We can't do the TV show without him. And he's compromised by me because he has to do what's best for me instead of what's best for him, or he feels like he has to as my father.
Mm-hmm.
So I, as his son, am going to hold him out. I'm going to contract dispute him. You guys with me? Are you guys willing to sit out for a while as a show of solidarity, like the union behind my father, to have a public holdout, because my father's not being paid right at this company, and we need to fix that.
So you're just going to hold them out until they agree to your asking price, and you're asking us, in the event that we get taken off, you're asking us to sit out with your dad.
As a group, yeah, like we'd have to do it together. We'd have to unionize, because if I come and do the TV show with him,
right,
then I'm neutering his leverage. Mm-hmm. But if I don't come to do it with him,
well, who's got to produce Clinton Yates?
That's a good question.
There needs to be fill-ins. Yeah. We always have to.
Okay, but let ESPN figure that out. Let ESPN figure that out.
But we have to get paid.
Yeah,
we lose money.
We gotta get paid.
Okay, so no is the answer from you guys. It's just got to be me and my dad.
We support you. We publicly support you, but just not to the
point
where we lose money.
Are you planning on doing this like in the immediate? Like, are you planning on doing this?
I mean, I've got to think it out a little bit, but yes, I'm thinking about doing it here very soon.
Okay, I will. I'll sit out with you.
Yeah,
I'm by your side, man. We've been doing this 15 years. I will do whatever you ask me to do. All right,
Stugotz, good teammate. All right, so
do I get paid?
No, probably not.
All right,
that's not how the holdouts work, Stugotz.
How about you take some vacation and position it as a holdout publicly?
Oh, there you go. That actually sounds like a perfect Stugotz plan right there. Can you find some Joe West music, country music, Joe West?
It's not the easiest thing to hold your horses.
What do you mean it's not the easiest thing in the world? I just said that we can replace Joe West with lasers in a few years. It's that hard for you to find some of Joe West's music?
Yeah, we got to, there's a process to this.
Yeah,
right.
God doesn't understand music.
There clearance issues, or?
There's no clearance issues.
Well, then just get the music, man.
Yeah, okay. Just find the music from Cowboy Joe West, Major League Baseball umpire. I'll get it, man.
I mean, I think he's got. Doesn't he have multiple albums? We've talked to him before.
Albums with an S?
I think so. I think he's got multiple country music albums. Regardless,
I only had him on my iPod Shuffle, so I don't know.
So far, our effort to organize this has not been very strong.
It's been terrible.
We
just sounds like Stugotz is taking some vacation days.
Yeah.
No, but never mind the Poppy holdout. That is for me to figure out. I'm talking about.
I'll stand right next to you, and by right next to you, on a beach in Cancun somewhere.
You're throwing a lot at us.
Yeah, you are. I mean, what do you want? You want your dad, Joe West? What do you want?
West, Poppy.
All right, here then. Okay,
social media campaign.
All right, so I won't throw that at you. Let me throw this at you.
Let's hone in on one thing here.
All right, here's the one thing. Matt Joyce.
That's a fourth thing.
That's a new.
Yeah.
Matt Joyce of the Oakland A's used an anti-gay slur while yelling at a fan. Why does no one care?
Cannonball!
Oh, that's not the one thing that you didn't want? That's not the one. That's not one of the things you wanted right there? No? No?
Not what I wanted.
All right. Go ahead and do your SportsCenter update then.
That really happened with Matt Joyce?
Well, see, nobody even knows that it happened.
He's starting to get mad.
Nobody even knows that it happened.
I'm starting to get mad at Matt Joyce, and I'm starting to get mad that no one cared.
No, Stugotz, it's not the crime. It's how famous is the criminal. Like, that's where we are in 2017. It is not the crime. It's because it's Matt Joyce and the Oakland A's. Nobody cares.
So if Mike Trout says the same exact thing, it's a massive story?
Well, actually, it'd have to be someone even more famous than Mike Trout, because Mike Trout is the most excellence, but it'd have to be like Aaron Judge.
Bryce Harper.
What's the tipping point? Because recently Amari Stoudemire and even Floyd Mayweather sort of got away with those.
Yeah, but under the umbrella of promoting a fight, which for some reason is okay by everyone. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
And how does that shield Amari Stoudemire?
ESPN Radio is presented by...
No, wait a minute. Let's talk about this for a second.
Fine.
Let's talk about this for a second, because here are the places where it will be shielded, okay?
Yep.
And really, this is where we are in 2017. It's totally okay to use an anti-gay slur if you're in another country playing basketball. If you're Matt Joyce. And everybody's like, whatever.
These are safe zones?
Yes, these are safe zones.
So
and
far,
also,
2 safe
if
zones.
you're selling a fight.
Three safe zones.
There's 3 safe zones. If you're someone who is homophobic, go live in those 3 worlds. Go get a house with Matt Joyce. Go get in Floyd Mayweather's camp.
Go live in the world that your name is Matt Joyce.
Right.
Yes.
Or go and play in Israel with Amari Stoudemire.
But I don't think you can merely just live in Matt Joyce's house. I think you have to replace Matt Joyce.
No, get in his life.
Okay.
Just if you're
must become
homophobic,
him.
just get into Matt Joyce's life and stay near him. It's safe there.
Hey, buddy, the wait is over. It's the 2017 Sui Awards, starting August 21st. The Sui Awards. Dan Le Batard.
Did you love The Joker's Wild? 61% of the audience said no.
Oh, you damn young people, soaring with so much ignorance.
Stugotz.
You don't even know what we're talking about. The Joker's Wild is the truth, man. Stay woke.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Is that Joe West right there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Did you buy the Joe West album to support Joe West?
Of course we bought the album. That's how we support Joe West, and our job is done here.
All right, well, not quite. Hold on a second. Let me ask you this question. Where can people get Joe West's album? How much is Joe West's album? Can we send people? Can Joe West make up the money that he's going to lose with his suspension by our listeners buying Joe West's album off of wherever it is that you would buy such a thing?
I'm glad you asked. You go to cowboyjoewest.com and you purchase the album. I believe it's a bargain under $14. Wow.
All right, who wants to help Joe West get behind our cause? You guys are going to crash this website right now. What is this website?
cowboyjoewest.com.
All right, who wants to give $14? We don't ask you for money around here very often.
Oh, it's $12.95.
It's $12.95. Wow.
Yeah. I was here telling you that it was less than $14.
Hold on. Let's slow down here.
A lot of tracks, too, man. Like, you're getting good bang for your buck.
Slow down. Everybody calm down. Can you call Joe West and find out if he'll lower that price for our listeners, if he'll give us a code word of some sort to support his
That's
cause?
a great idea.
Great idea.
If you can't speak to him, code word, you're out.
Yes.
Good idea. Good. Code word.
Code word, you're out.
Well, no, it should be...
Nobody knows how to spell your and your.
Well, hold on. Let's see. Let's check the quotes on Beltray. Maybe the code word will be something, maybe he called Beltray a name or something like that.
Well, he said you stink as an umpire. He says you're great. He said you're a great baseball player, but as an umpire, you stink.
You
stink.
Right,
call Marty.
Chris is still arguing for you're out.
But is the apostrophe in it?
Yeah.
All right, this is what I do. By the end of the show, before the end of the show, because I want to get this cause off the ground, I want to support Joe West. I want to free Joe West. I want to be pro-honesty. I want my arbiters, my sports personalities to tell me what they really think. Joe West said Adrian Beltre is the biggest complainer in the sport. Adrian Beltre found it funny. The Umpires Union did not. And Joe West has been suspended for 3 games.
You can buy umpire mask on cowboyjoewest.com.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of things
Lorenzo, our television producer, can we put up this website on our lower third, please, so the television audience knows where to go?
All right, well, but let's be careful with this, because last time we started raising money around here, we raised way too much money for something. So
Is that a thing that you can do? Raise too much money for something?
Wow.
Well, don't you remember we were trying to buy something and we needed to get the bidding over $5,000 and we got it done so fast that it ended up being like $8,000 or whatever it is that we were doing. I don't even remember what it was.
It was we donated to the 0-16 Cleveland Browns parade, but all that money was donated
because it never
the
happened.
Browns
They won.
messed things up and won
the
a
Browns
game.
won. That's right. That was a great idea. We were going to have an 0-16 Cleveland Browns parade. We funded the thing. Our listeners funded the thing, and we just needed to get to $5,000. And within 5 minutes, they got to $8,000. So let's be careful here. But I do want to support Joe West by buying stuff off his website,
but not too nice.
Right.
Right.
And you can go shopping on this website, man. I didn't realize there's this much stuff. You could buy an on-field umpire shirt by Majestic, $32.95.
All right. Well, hold on a second.
That's it.
Hold on a second. What's the cheapest thing on this website? Is it his country music? What's the cheapest thing? Because
whoa, I hope you mean cheap as in affordable.
Value. Yes, that's what I meant. What is the thing on? Of course, I meant affordable. Why are you protecting the sanctity of Joe West's website?
A chest protector is $135.
Yeah, but it could save your life.
It can.
Yep.
How much is a life worth? Really?
Hold on a second. Joe West is selling his own chest protectors? What does he have them? Like, what?
Oh, no,
I don't know if it's his own, but
these are Wilson
ones.
ones.
He has some sort of sponsorship deal.
It's a Wilson one. It's got the Major League Baseball logo on it. I mean, it's the real thing.
Fast forward 10 years from now, CowboyJoeWest.com is the next Amazon.
Is it up on our screen here on ESPNU? Lorenzo hasn't been able to put it up yet on ESPNU.
You put a message on the show log that says "on it," so I'm sure it'll be done in about 15 minutes
All
or
right,
so.
All right.
We have to move a mountain to get it lowered there.
When you're buying stuff on the site, do you guys notice what you click on? You click on home plate.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
Amazing. I think you've just diluted the importance and the resonance of the word amazing. It's amazing.
The site is already malfunctioning, by the way.
Yeah, we're crashing. It doesn't work. Yeah, we're going to crash it. All right, Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please? Is it amazing that Joe West's website allows you to click on home plate, as Stugotz alleges? Amazing. You know, there's a question I wanted to ask you guys about baseball. They asked me and Stugotz this question on Highly Questionable the other day.
Wow, there's a 2014 umpire roster available on his website.
Let's clean him out. Let's just buy everything on his site. Let's have the listeners just buy everything. Don't leave a thing. Just leave like one of those cartoon cats eating a fish and leaving just the scales in its fingers. Like just leave just bones everywhere, listeners.
There's something called a West Vest blog that you click on. I imagine it's a blog, but it leads directly to an error page.
Yeah, we have crashed this thing.
All right.
Past umpire news.
What's going on?
Let me click on it. Let me go. Yep. Another error page.
No.
See, this is why I told you guys to slow down with all of this.
All right, one visitor per household, people.
Now, hold on a second. Get Joe West on the phone and tell him he needs to give us some discounts that we're sending him. It's going to be his biggest business day ever. Somebody get a hold of Joe West and tell him, somebody inform him that the doors are closed right now on the biggest business opportunity of his life.
Developing news. He owns a patent for this chest protector. It's called the West Vest.
Oh, wow.
It's a
West
signature vest.
Wow. I mean, man, that is amazing.
There's a gold and platinum version. Oh, how much is a platinum?
Wow. You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Okay, very good. Big baller Joe West.
Splash!
Wait a second, the gold's more expensive than the platinum?
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
And Joe West writes his own rules.
Oh, that's what he calls a curveball.
We click on About Us. Error page.
I mean, Chris, you're proud of that joke. Look at the big smile on your freckled face as you sit there and you actually throw your right arm in the motion of a curveball, like you're breaking off an imaginary pitch because you were so pleased with the idea that gold being better than platinum is a curveball from Joe West. What it is bad judgment.
Find out what happens when you call the number.
You throw a curveball to trick someone, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I also appreciate that you said that with your left hand. You were a reliever coming out of the pen there with your left-handed curveball.
Glad we got to that baseball question.
Right, the Dodger question.
Dan Le Batard.
What did he say? What did Eli Manning do now?
Well, it
doesn't matter.
If you just look at the story as it is right now, there's no doubt. If you just look at that information, that Eli Manning did something nefarious. He told someone that it was game-worn stuff that he was signing, and it wasn't.
Stugotz.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. 2 questions on the poll here at Le Batard Show. Are you stunned that Stugotz just used the word nefarious? And are you stunned that Stugotz just used the word nefarious correctly?
Yes, yes.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
What I was saying about the Dodgers is on Monday, Highly Questionable asked Stugotz and I, we were both on the show, do the Dodgers have a chance to be considered the best baseball team of all time or one of the best of all time because they're on pace here? They're overwhelming. They lost last night, but last I checked, they were on pace to win 111 games. And the question that I wanted to ask you about specifically, that's a fine for me. I don't know what happened.
That is a fine for you. I mean, Siri just started talking there. What happened?
Phone?
It's a fine. I mean,
it is a fine.
And it might be a fine if you start blaming the phone, too. Like when I make a mistake, I lash out. Oh, that's just me. My bad. All right.
It's a fine. Anyway, what I was saying about the Dodgers is they're on a historic pace. And what I wanted to ask you is the idea of, can you be an all-time best team? Clearly, they've got to win the title. But can you be an all-time best team if you don't have on your team forever players, guys that you know when you're watching them that right now that guy is an all-timer? Like when you think of the best baseball teams of all time, they have Ruth and Maris, and they have Mantle on them. They have Gehrig. They have even the Mariners team that didn't win the title had Griffey. And I think they had A-Rod, or they didn't have Randy Johnson, but it was the year after they traded Randy Johnson.
Wasn't the team that won all those games the Ichiro team? Was that with Boone and Cameron?
I think you might, and maybe Jay Buhner. You might want to check on that because I think
I'm not
you're
even
right.
sure it was Jay Buhner. I think it was after they.
Well, it doesn't matter because that team didn't win the title and isn't going to be considered among the best all time because they won 150 and 116 games and didn't win the title.
Don't the Dodgers have one of those guys though, Clayton Kershaw?
Well, but he's not even pitching for them right now.
I know,
and he's a pitcher. And yes, of course, he's got an ERA over the last 5 years under 2.
Crazy.
So, yes, he would be an all-timer, but don't you need to have Bench and Tony Perez and Joe Morgan? Don't you, in order to be considered that in real time? Let's say the Dodgers do win the championship. I know Cody Bellinger's really good.
He might turn into one of those guys that you remember.
I'm talking about, you know, when you're watching it, like, you know, the Big Red Machine, you knew what it was. When you're talking about, you know, Murderer's Row, it's not, the Dodgers are excellent, but they're not terribly famous.
They're really not. I actually didn't realize it. You would think a team of, who's played this well for an entire season would have bigger names on it.
They don't have stars.
They don't.
I think that Mariners team is actually pretty comparable because Ichiro, Hall of Famer, but this was Ichiro's first season, which he took the league by storm. They had Brett Boone, Mike Cameron, journeyman. I think their ace was Jamie Moyer, John Olerud. This is not a team that should be setting the record for wins in a season.
Wow, that's funny. So A-Rod and Griffey weren't even on that team.
This was post that whole exciting era of Mariners baseball when everybody thought they were going to be garbage, and then they set the major league record for wins.
What was it, 116?
116. Jay Buhner, by the way, played 19 games that season.
All right, put that on the poll, please. What year was that for the Mariners?
What year was that, fellas?
2001.
2001.
All right,
Freddie
2001
Garcia was their second best pitcher.
2001 How the hell? Yes or no? That's the poll question because that can't be one of the best teams of all time when those are the names that were thrown around.
You want to do the same thing with this Dodger team? 2017 Dodgers? How the hell?
No, because
the fact that they're still doing this and rolling without Clayton Kershaw is pretty amazing.
Their pitching is really overwhelming and it's deep.
Check out Brett Boone's stats that year.
Oh, I know, he's crazy.
How the hell?
No, you know how the hell there.
The Brett Boone year?
Steroids. Give me the reckless speculation sounder so that I'm journalistically sound on this. I don't want to make any accusations.
Journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
All right. I mean, Brett Boone was taking steroids in the batter's box. In the batter's box. He'd bend over. He'd call timeout from umpire Joe West, and he'd just stick a hypodermic needle in his thigh.
Thank God we played that reckless speculation open, though.
Yeah. It seems like a 4-year period in which he was doing it. Mike, see if you can look at his stats and see when
crazy.
he stopped taking them.
No, yes, you could find him. You can actually look at the stats and totally identify.
Yeah.
I mean, he was...
It was 2005.
He was ejected from a game. I'm surprised more people didn't notice this. Maybe it's because it's on the West Coast. He had an incident not unlike the George Brett Pine Tar incident because he had just slathered so much HGH on his face.
Remember, this is all reckless speculation.
That's right. It's not. I'm not saying that this is
cannot
actually
be bound
so. This is just
to anything that's being said.
Right. I'm opining about this recklessly. This is not.
It is worse than the Brady Anderson year. It really is.
Well, it's not a fact, but it's a fact. I mean, it's not. I don't know it to be true, but it's true. Look at those numbers.
I mean, the OPS is,
right.
for its entire career, it's 600,
right.
in the 6s, in the 7s, in
right.
the 7s. It never gets to the 8s, and then magically it leaps up to 950.
That's right. Give me the home run. Give me the counting stats. One of the big seasons. This is Brett Boone. This is second baseman. And by the way, the big clue on his steroid use should have been that where his arms were 2 legs. Like from the shoulder down, those were not arms. Those were legs that he had on his arm.
All right, you ready for these stats?
Yes.
Did he win the Triple Crown?
No. No, he did not win the Triple Crown.
He batted .331 that year.
Right.
He had 37 home runs. He scored 118 runs. He had 141 runs batted in.
That's right. That's Brett Boone.
His career batting average is 266. He went 331 that year. He didn't have another season in which he went over 300.
Jose Canseco did mention him in Juiced.
I mean, he didn't need to mention him in Juice. Those stats that Stugotz is giving are covered in juice. What do you mean? Of course.
We have an important Cowboy Joe West update.
What happened?
Allison has just spoken with Cowboy Joe West.
Oh, no.
Well, hold on. Let me talk to Allison here. I don't want to go through a third party or fourth party. Let's go straight to the second source. the source closest to Joe
just
West.
took a phone call right now. So
is it Joe?
All right.
Is it Joe?
Find
talk
out
to me or
no,
Allison.
Find out what the Joe West update is next.
Splash.
Roy and Chris and Brett Boone, if you're out there somewhere and listening, or if you know Brett Boone, have him call the show so that I can accuse him of using steroids to his face. Sort of. Roy and Chris are having children. Stugotz has twin teenage daughters. They're going to want to keep an eye on them to make sure that they are safe. That's why they should go with Blink cameras to set up inside their home. Tell them more, Stugotz. What's wrong? What's wrong, Mike? Why are you making that face?
You just asked us to get Brett Boone to tell him that he's on steroids.
Well, because it's sort of like Heath Evans. You know, doing all those reps in a tie of 225 on the NFL Network, where he's doing 45 reps in retirement because they're not drug testing their NFL analysts.
We get it. We're just wondering if it's worth the effort and the call.
Well,
probably going to say no.
If Brett Boone wants to call in and laugh and admit that he used steroids, we'd love to talk to him about it.
All right.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
I just looked over my shoulder where Max and Stephen A. were talking to Snoop Dogg about whether or not LeBron is top 5 all time. Get the hell out of here.
Stugotz.
Who's responsible? Is that you, Salatoro? Who's responsible for that at ESPN? Because that person needs to be punished publicly. Brofsky, is that you? Roberts. Bald guy in sales. Who did that? You waste his time with is LeBron top 5 all time. I hate you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with a Name Your Price tool to find the price that works for you. Kate Fagan going to join us in just a minute here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The New York Knicks have signed former number 2 overall draft pick Michael Beasley to a 1-year deal. The team announced on Tuesday. Beasley.
Super team.
That'll fix it. With an expanded calendar as part of its new collective bargaining agreement, the NBA has taken the most aggressive measures to date to build rest into its schedule, including eliminating stretches of 4 games in 5 days and reduction in number of back-to-backs. And finally, Fox has had preliminary talks about reviving King of the Hill with series creator Mike Judge. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
The players having the power in that sport is fun to watch, man, in basketball, because they just changed the schedule because the players were giving them double middle fingers on rest. And so they're like, yep, we've been doing this wrong for a long time now. Greedy, trying to squeeze all the money out of this. We're going to stop traveling that way.
I guarantee you the players will still rest.
Maybe, but
Yep.
I just find it fascinating that instead that the choice is to become upset, but you can't actually do anything about it. So the changes aren't with penalties to the players. You have to change for the players. That's one of the things that happens when the players have the power. This is some heavy subject matter we're headed to here. Her new book, What Made Maddie Run, is available now wherever books are sold. Kate Fagan, you watch her on Around the Horn all over the place. You could catch her on ESPN Radio as well. And she wrote this book, ESPNW. She wrote this book, and it feels like really heavy lifting. So, Kate, thank you for joining us. Was this dark for you actually sitting down to write this? Because I can imagine the writer could get swept up in a darkness here just by writing about darkness this way.
All right, Dan, I know it's a really heavy topic, but I have to start off by saying that it has taken me 2 years to get on your show, and the impetus was having Stugotz on the trifecta on Saturday, and I finally realized I had to stop waiting for the invite, and I just had to reach out to your producers and just, beg to come on the program. So I'm thrilled to be on the program. Thank you for having me. And
But we're going to go straight to that, into the heavy stuff.
Well, I mean, I told her that I make zero decisions as it relates to who comes on this show, and so she just said. So I guess she just took my advice and she reached out to Mike, and she.
Well, no, Mike's wanted her on the show here for a long time, but regardless, this subject matter though is a weird way for a first time acquaintance to be made. But go ahead, tell us about Deep Dark Depression.
Well, hey,
Go.
Look, I've been talking about this book for a couple months now. It came out last week. And it certainly is heavy subject matter. It's about a young student athlete at the University of Pennsylvania who died by suicide. And the book goes into a lot of topics that I think are important for students and parents to consider, like social media, this pursuit of perfection, how athletic departments are handling mental and emotional health in their student athletes, college. I mean, there's a lot of factors within it that affect both student athletes and students. And yeah, it was a 2-year process writing it, and it took me into the corners of the human mind and sharing a lot of other people's experiences with mental health and how stressful that college transition can be. But I mean, and talking to the family too. I mean, they also want to make sure this is an open, easy conversation that we really get into it and not just make it super heavy all of the time.
Kate, why'd you write it? Why was this important to you?
So, I had played hoops at the University of Colorado, and I really struggled my freshman year. I tried to quit. My coach was like, just give me a couple weeks and let me see if I can coach you differently. And things turned around for me. But when I heard Madison's story first, and I had lived in Philly, I was like, some of the headlines were like, star student jumps over grades, and nothing felt like it was as nuanced as it needed to be. And I saw parts of myself in Madison's story. So I was like, look, I need to do more work on this, dive into it, try to understand, because I talk to a lot of students. I go to colleges a lot, and they're struggling in a way that I think is unique to this generation. And I think there was a conversation that needed to be started about what factors are at play culturally that are impacting young people, and rates of anxiety and depression, both in student athletes and students, are rising. And I wanted to kind of not answer them, but at least introduce some of the ideas that could be impacting the next generation.
Is there any way, really, and again, the new book, What Made Maddie Run, is available now wherever books are sold. Kate Fagan with us. You worked on it for 2 years. Is there any way, really, to understand mental illness? Can you write about it in a way that makes it more understandable, or can you just extend empathy?
No, I mean, you're never going to, so it's like if you want to get to like the why question, like why did Madison Holleran die by suicide, I don't think you're going to get to a specific why. But you certainly can look at a lot of like the impact of social media on our brains, how that impacted Madison in terms of how she shared about how it impacted her with her friends and family. You can look at what happened with the college counseling interaction. You can look at whether athletic departments are doing enough. And then simply the fact that there was no outlet that she knew of that she could really have this conversation and feel like it wasn't clinical and it wasn't like cold, like a diagnosis. And that's something that you talk about over there as opposed to a community. All of that helps going forward, even if you can't pinpoint like this was the catalyst, this was the why that Madison died, and now let's all avoid that one thing. You're never going to have that, but you're certainly going to have young people who are like, yes, they were forwarding the original magazine piece to their parents and saying, like, this is what I'm struggling with, various parts of this, and, like, can we talk about it? Can we have a conversation about it?
Can you identify it? I think one of the things, Kate Fagan with us, new book, What Made Maddie Run, is available now wherever books are sold. I've had these conversations with Stan Van Gundy where he's like, in our sport, if someone hurts an ankle, we send them in for therapy. But if a guy takes a basketball and kicks it somewhere, we just tell him, hey, become more disciplined. And so I'm just curious, can you tell when watching professional sports some of the behavior? Can you tell when you're watching someone who's behaving in a fashion that suggests mental illness?
Well, I don't think you can just look at someone and say that. And certainly I'm not a professional enough to offer any sort of diagnosis. But it's interesting in that, like, I'm actually flying back right now from Canada where we're working on a piece with Royce White, who was drafted by the Rockets. And then, the headlines were all like, this anxiety over flying and he's not in the league. And a lot of the conversations we were having were about how most professional sports are very reactive to mental health issues. Like sometimes it manifests itself in like addiction with someone and then you get punished. And there's just sort of reactive punitive measures as opposed to like a mental health policy where you're being proactive about it.
Kate, you mentioned earlier that athletic departments can do more. I'm wondering, what can or should schools do better to help out students struggling with mental health?
Well, when I was writing the book, the data that existed was that, and this is a couple years ago, only 25 of the FCS schools actually employed, sorry, there's a small child behind me, only 25 of the FCS schools had a full-time mental health professional on staff. So right away, it's more athletic departments employed full-time professionals to deal with the mental health of their student-athletes. You would see student-athletes not have to be sent across campus, but have a place within, the silo of the athletic department where everything else gets taken care of, food, training, everything. Now they could also have someone that they could talk to about that, and it wouldn't feel like they were getting exiled. I think that would be the first step.
New book, What Made Maddie Run, available now wherever books are sold. So you went straight from this to talking to Royce White? Like you just go around looking for the mentally ill folks so that you could just spend some time in that, dark space?
Hey, look, it's my beat now, Dan, all right? Like, I can't turn down good stories about important issues. You seem like the guy that likes important issues, too, so I'm just kind of in your
I know,
vein,
it's just an odd niche to develop. Like, I'm going to go find the mentally ill in the dark and spend 2 years in the dark with them.
Well, I also, I know it's hard to tell, but I'm very sarcastic and funny, and I think if you had me on the show again when it wasn't talking about my book, but just talking about sports,
but write a funny book.
Yeah, write a funny book, and we'll have you on again.
All right.
Lighten it up, all right. Let's go.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Kate. Thank you for being on with us.
Dan Batard.
Gone with the Wind was 4 hours long?
4 hours too long.
Really? Gone with the Wind is overrated?
It is overrated.
Okay, very good.
Doesn't hold up.
Stugotz.
I mean, how long does it take for something to blow away?
I do love how happy that makes you when you get the Hakeem Nicks laugh.
The highest honor.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Joe Flacco got Ray Lewis mad at him because he admitted one time that when Ray Lewis started with his pregame speeches, which were seen as very inspirational for champion Baltimore, that there was just a lot of gibberish in them. There's a lot of nonsensical, he goes from loud to whispering preacher talk, and some of it has wisdom, but it needs editing. There's a lot of gibberish in what it is that Ray Lewis says. But every once in a while, there's a gem in some of what Ray Lewis says. And so Ray Lewis wrote on Twitter the following. And I don't know if this is his. This sounds like it must be a quote from someone else. Can someone help me with this? Is this Ray Lewis's, or is he stealing this quote when he says, "Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. Most people listen with the intent to reply"? There is sound wisdom in that. If you can be aware when you are discussing anything in our climate or in sports, and your intent is to understand instead of to reply, that doesn't make for much debate. It doesn't make for first take. But if your intent is to understand instead of to reply.
Right. It'd be an odd show, though. You're right, where if you're just trying to understand instead of replying. So, like, you just sit there and, like, Stephen A. says something and Max doesn't respond. He just sits there and he just tries to understand.
No, I'm saying when someone has an alternate viewpoint. I'm not saying as television, Max Kellerman should just sit there with the thinker's pose. I'm saying that instead of arguing about things, if what we're interested in, I'm assuming that the place that this comes from is he was on a side of the Colin Kaepernick discussion that made black people mad at him. And so I'm assuming that's what he's saying there, that you want to hear my perspective? Do you want to understand my perspective, or are you just waiting to fight with me? Would you like to hear how I think about this, or are you waiting to just yell at me?
That quote's attributed to Stephen Covey, who's an inspirational writer.
Yeah, it didn't sound like, it sounded a little bit too wise, but regardless, it's still wise.
Well, Ray should probably credit him, though, no?
Yes.
Okay.
If indeed he's stealing it.
Dan, some people are so entrenched in how they feel about something that they're not going to try and understand. You know that. Like, yes, in a perfect world, that would be nice, but they're just going to say, no, Ray, I don't care what you say. Colin Kaepernick should have a job in the NFL. He should be able to do both things. He should be able to peacefully protest and get behind things that he cares about and have a job in the NFL playing quarterback.
But what, as it relates to the Kaepernick thing, don't you think we'd all be a lot better served if people were actually moving off of their positions? Because what's happening here is not that new information is changing minds. People are entrenched on whatever it is that they think and what is changing their viewpoint. And to me, this speaks to that. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. Most listen with the intent to reply. I'm telling you, Stugotz, Colin Kaepernick could be all the same things that he is. And if he did it like gay pride is a celebration of being gay. But really what it is, it's a protest disguised as a celebration. What gay pride often is it's just a gay protest. And I'm wondering if Colin Kaepernick thought all the same things but simply danced near the flag instead of knelt by it, if he'd be received differently. Thinking all of the same things.
So he's just dancing next to the...
Just something else, something other. Like, I don't know, like shooting confetti cannons, something other than kneeling next to it. I'm saying, like, look, I'm not protesting. I'm partying. Make it more like gay pride. Like, take your shirt off near the flag. Disguise the protest. Make it seem a little happier. You guys aren't with me on this?
I don't think it would work.
It's a pretty heavy topic to be having a party around.
Agreed.
Police brutality. And
agreed, but
taking your shirt off and throwing confetti.
But wait a minute. Also a heavy topic. All of the suicides in this country from people who have been closeted and stigmatized because they can't come out as gay. Like, that's also a very serious topic that has been turned into a party anyway.
That's a good point. Touche.
I'm saying you can make it a party if you want. Like, how would that?
I don't think you can make this one a party, though.
All right, if you were, let's do it another way. Let me attack this from another angle.
Okay.
If you were to try to turn the Colin Kaepernick protest into a party, how would you do it?
Taking the shirt off is a good start.
Dancing.
Confetti.
Well, that's what I just said. I offered you both of those, and you guys both made fun of me.
Yeah, we came up with the gay pride parade.
Nothing. Where's Joe West? Is Joe West
next segment.
Joe West is coming on with us next segment?
Potentially next segment.
Maybe he has some thoughts on this.
If it is, well, Joe
Clearly,
West.
you guys don't.
Joe West is joining us.
Well, I don't know what you want from us. Like, you're trying to make something serious. You're trying to turn it into a party.
I haven't really given it much thought.
Clearly. I wouldn't have been able to tell from your response.
How do I make the Colin Kaepernick thing fun?
Yes. More fun.
More fun. More fun. As opposed, wait, more fun means that this right now is fun,
Right.
which it isn't.
No, it's not fun. More fun than this. I'm saying make it, look, man, black people all the time have to do things to appear less threatening, whether it's with police officers or others. They have to make concerted effort because of how white people make them threatening, whether they're threatening or not. And what I'm saying is if you make it a little happier instead of defiant, if you made what T.O. did during his career, T.O. would be in the Hall of Fame already. Right now, he'd be in the Hall of Fame if simply instead of fighting with everybody, he was laughing with everybody. If he was doing all the same things.
He was taking his shirt off and he threw up pom-poms and he was dancing.
I know, right?
It didn't work out well for him.
No, but when he was doing sit-ups in the driveway and there were helicopters covering his holdout, and Drew Rosenhaus is next to him with a super serious next question. If Terrell Owens, somewhere within that, looked like he was having fun as the rebel instead of double middle fingers as the rebel, you don't think that would have get him into the Hall of Fame? That would have made him more likable, would have made him more like Gronk? No?
No. He would have to be white, too.
Okay.
You'd have to get Gronk to, like, partner with you to be on your side. Get Gronk involved.
Ooh.
Yes, that's
wow.
how you do it. You recruit.
Can you get Gronk to put himself out there and support this cause?
Yes. That's how you do it.
It changes the narrative.
It does.
Then you get the bros.
What are you guys talking about?
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE
at
networks.
all that segment. I got no help from anybody here. Now, that may be my fault because I produced a topic that simply could not be helped.
Yeah. Possibly.
Or
definitely.
Or you guys didn't help.
I don't think this is one of those things that can be both.
No.
Definitely your fault.
No doubt it was your fault.
It's your fault.
Do your job, Dan.
Dan Le Batard.
I mean, my kids don't even like me anymore. That's the bad part. I mean, the one thing I had was my kids, was my twin girls, and they are mortified by me, by my mere existence.
Stugotz.
I mean, I went in that lake at camp over the weekend, took the shirt off, stuck the stomach out as far as I could, and cannonballed right into that lake. My girls asked me to leave afterwards.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You do it as Black Pride. You hold up a fist and you rock it during the anthem. You like shake it, black fist. No?
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm speaking over everyone because I'm trying to distance myself from this topic. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Go ahead, Mike.
Just historically, that's never really gone over well.
Right, I know. But Black Pride instead of Black Protest. Instead of Black Lives Matter, of course they matter, but also proud to be black, y'all.
Here's your SportsCenter update. The New York Knicks have signed former number 2 overall draft pick Michael Beasley.
No, that wasn't a country western, y'all. That was Public Enemy. I'm proud to be black, y'all. And that's a fact, y'all. Or is that Run DMC?
I think you might be better off with the country music, y'all.
Yeah, I think so.
Just stop.
I'm sorry, Stugotz.
I don't care. Just as long as I'm not talking about
this. Is Joe West there? Where's Joe West?
It's going to voicemail right now.
All right.
He said call us back in an hour. That was
Joe
roughly...
West is making it very difficult to get behind his cause.
I'm done calling Joe West. I tried to free Joe West.
You haven't
I tried to help
Joe West. Allison's been calling Joe West.
I'm done with the whole idea.
All right.
It was my idea. I don't know if it was a good one or a bad one.
That was your idea.
And if Joe West doesn't want our help and doesn't want us buying things off of his website, then forget it. Like, no more calls to Joe West. I don't care anymore.
His voicemail is full, too.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Wait a minute. Did you do any update there? What did you do?
I got the Beasley story.
It wasn't an and finally.
Oh, and finally, a man who tried to deposit what he presented as a $1 million bill has been charged with drug possession in Iowa. The U.S. Treasury Department says it has never produced a $1 million bill. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. No more Joe West. No more. He's on the golf course. We're trying to sell merchandise. We're trying to free Joe West. We're trying to get this ridiculous suspension lifted, and he doesn't have time for us. He's telling us another hour, half hour. No more Joe West. Enough. Don't go to the website. I'm serious. I'm tired of Joe West.
Has there ever been...
Enough of this guy.
I'm tired of Joe West. I mean, wait.
I'm trying to help a poor umpire out, man.
If you're just joining us, Joe West has been suspended. Cowboy Joe West, or umpire Joe West, has been suspended for 3 games because he said Adrian Beltre was a complainer. Adrian Beltre laughed at the comments. The umpires union is mad that he was suspended. We are trying to free Joe West by supporting his website, cowboyjoewest.com, and just buying some of his country music. So if you want to go do that and support Joe West, who Stugotz is tired of supporting, you could do that at cowboyjoewest.com. We are endeavoring, but we're losing patience with trying to get Joe West involved in our cause. And his cause, I don't think he wants us involved in his cause.
Am I alone here and losing patience, or are you with me here? It's like...
No, I think it's funny. I think it's funny
that he's playing hard to get?
I think the whole thing is funny, that we're trying to get behind a ridiculous cause. It's a stupid thing we're trying to get behind. The way we're trying to get behind it is also stupid. Joe West doesn't need the money of our listeners, but our listeners will throw their money behind our stupid causes. And so I want to see if we could buy some stuff off of Joe West's website. You could get behind a cause and also have a chest protector. As an added bonus, you could get behind our cause, and in 10 years, when umpires are replaced by lasers, you will have in your house a chest protector that you use less often than that Body by Jake ab roller that you never use because it's in the garage.
The West Vest is what it's called.
Yeah, it's $135. Is that the gold or platinum model? Gold model.
Yeah.
If you send a receipt for the West Vest, the $135 West Vest, if you send a screen cap of your receipt to @Batard Show, first 3 people to do that will get a Batard Show T-shirt.
Nice. I said earlier it was a good value, and now it's way overpriced.
Wait a minute. Let me see what we've got happening here. So...
You send your receipts.
All right.
Because people are just going there but not actually buying. Right. I know this trick.
Okay. Yes. If you send us the receipt.
Yeah, screen cap the receipt.
So basically, if you want to pay $135 for
a
shirt,
Show T-shirt.
You're overpaying.
And a vest.
The vest. We'll throw in the vest for free. Right? That's basically what we're doing.
But you're not paying us.
Right. If you're willing to pay $135 for one of our T-shirts, we'll throw in a West vest for free. All the money goes to Joe West. It's confusing.
Precisely.
You got to do that differently if you want to make money off of this.
I don't care about making money.
But I would, and I do. So I would charge like $300 for the T-shirts, and we'll throw in the West vest, and then you pay the $130 for the West vest.
Stop trying to run scams.
$170 in my pocket.
Mike. Why is Stugotz always, no matter what is happening in the world, Stugotz is always trying to play an angle where
I'll tell you who's running a scam. It's Joe West. I mean, here we are promoting his site, selling all the merchandise on his site, and he doesn't have 5 minutes for us. That's who's running the scam. You're lashing out at the wrong person here. I'm lashing out at the right person. It's Joe West. You're lashing out at me. That doesn't seem fair.
I'm lashing out at you because you tried to turn our cause into a money-making opportunity for you.
I was just planting seeds. Like, if you wanted to do this in the future, this is how you do it, where you can pocket some cash. Look, cash.
Let me...
I can't look at you. I'm afraid to look at Dad.
Look, your resume, okay? Your resume of unrelenting jackassery doesn't have anything on it more impressive than right now you turning cash into quiche for no reason. There is no reason that I can tell that you just did that. I don't know why you did that, We're doing a radio show. It's on a lot of radio stations. It's more powerful than it's ever been. I don't know why you thought it would be a good idea to say cash as quiche. Explain to me how your mind works.
I feel like when you're doing that kind of scam, you got to say quiche. That's the way you got to say it. When in Rome, Dad.
What do you make? I don't want to talk about this anymore. What do you make of Ed Orgeron and Tom Herman limiting and changing the rules on media access at LSU and Texas? Really limiting media access.
In what kind of way? Like they're
just who is available to come to practices and how much of their practices you can watch. And
I think that stuff should be open to any. Within reason, yeah. No, it should be open to any news outlet, media outlet that wants to come and cover their sport, cover their team, cover their university and their program. Why would they be against it? They don't trust people, certain people?
I mean, they're just doing the coach thing of being all-powerful and eliminating anybody who can tell state secrets. And from the media perspective, and that is always going to be in some form our perspective, obviously it's not very nice. But how much does it matter? Because I feel like we're at a point where some of these sports are so popular and media has changed so much and the ability to go direct to consumer has changed so much.
Right.
What do you need your local TV station out at practice for, filming your practices? Now, I understand this is such a big business that I think that part of the transaction, because media pays so much for all these coaches to make so much money, that it's offensive to me that in amateurism they're doing this stuff. But in the pros, I understand it a little more, because how much does football actually need the media when they have NFL Network?
Right. They have their own network. Right.
And they're so popular that how much do they actually need the media? You need them for rights fees, but why do you need the newspaper to come in? Why do you need the local television station to come and cover your practice?
Well, they have jobs to do, and you still have fans who are consuming the news that way. So they're getting their news from the newspaper. You still have people who care about what the coach had to say about quarterback
I know, but what I'm saying is, do you need it? Is the sport so popular, as it relates specifically to football, is the sport so popular that it doesn't matter if there's media coverage of the sport or not?
Oh, I don't think it would affect, in terms of people watching it on Sundays. No, I don't think it would have any effect on that. But you have people who want to cover you, and you have people who are interested in your information Monday through Friday. Why would you limit that, I guess is what I'm saying. Why would you want around-the-clock coverage?
This is what I'm saying. For example, right? Things change with evolution.
Right.
And all the great seats at sporting events that used to go to media members, teams have gotten wise that those seats are really valuable and it'd be better to sell them. And so one step on freezing out media is taking seats that you used to give them for free and now selling those and moving the media back into another area where the seats aren't as valuable. This is just an extension of that. And if we keep going the way that we're going with social media, we're going to do this more and more, where Ed Orgeron feels comfortable. Ed Orgeron feels comfortable limiting media access at LSU, because what do we need you for? You're an inconvenience. You exist to make my job more difficult. You're not helping me. How are you helping me? And this is in college.
Oh, but Ed loves when they write good things about his program.
I know, but Ed also knows both of the guys doing this, Ed Orgeron and Tom Herman, they both know that their institution is so large with its fan base and with its customers, they don't need us. They don't.
Yeah,
because of the value, because of what LSU and Texas are.
I understand that, and you're right. They don't need us, but they're going to control their own content. They're going to control what they put out, because I don't trust them.
Well, but they're not controlling their own content. They're just limiting. They're making restrictions.
But they're going to control their own information. They don't want people digging around their program.
They're trying to
get over yourself. You're a college football coach.
I know, but Stugotz, they're making more than anybody else, and they can do it, and so they are. You're saying get over yourself, but they're sitting here doing it because they can. Because how do you stop them? How do you stop LSU and Texas from doing that? Now, I don't think many people care about this outside of the media. I really don't.
Right.
But when you say get over yourself, no, if we're going to pay them like that, if we're going to make them make more money than any educator on campus, if we're going to give them,
the beast.
Of course, no, get over yourself. We made you that important. You're Ed bleeping Orgeron, and by virtue of being with that institution that is so popular in that region, you can tell the media to go bleep itself because you got the power of that institution behind you. Now, in college sports, it's different than professional sports. Because I do believe that college sports often need you more than professional. Certainly, football doesn't need any of us, except for the rights fees. Football doesn't. In fact, what do you think if I gave Roger Goodell right now the option and said, "You get rights fees, but no other media coverage," which means we wouldn't be covering all the crud. No other media coverage, but we won't be covering Ray Rice stuff. We won't be. If I gave him that option, do you think he takes it?
But the partners are paying less? Media partners.
No. I'm saying you get the rights. You get all of the money. You're just not going to get the coverage. You're going to get the rights fees exactly as they are, but we're not going to cover you at all. Neither good nor bad. We're not going to cover you. You just get Sundays. Do you think they'd care?
I don't.
Do you think it would hurt them?
I don't think it would hurt them. I think they would care. I think there's some things that they want to get out there to the public.
Well, how about this, though? How about if we were to do it this way?
It would not hurt them. If
I told you right now, ESPN will not cover football. Does that hurt football or does that hurt ESPN?
It hurts ESPN.
Will not say a word about football.
They're not reporting on football. They're not covering trades. They're not covering draft. They're not covering free agency. They're not covering any of that stuff.
Nothing.
It hurts ESPN. It doesn't hurt football.
Think about that one for a second.
You want more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz? Tune in starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dan Le Batard.
Texter writes in, what makes you happy?
Stugotz.
Do I give off on air unhappiness? Do I give off?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit more recently.
Yeah, recent.
Yeah,
really?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, we're walking on eggshells around here, man. All of us.
Money.
This is very therapeutic. I'm glad this came up. Yeah.
Money. We can all agree. Money. It's money. Money makes them happy.
Yeah, money.
That's not true at all.
Money.
Well, it's the things money buys, really. Yeah,
Right.
like the binge drinking.
Possessions.
Possessions.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
There's a funny thing that happened with Bill Barnwell here that I want to get to in a second. Mike, can you find for me a couple of things first, please? Did you guys know that Brian Baldinger was suspended for many months from the NFL Network? Are you guys aware of this?
Baldy?
Okay. Excellent contribution by you, as always.
I was not aware that Baldy has been suspended. What did he say? What did he do?
All right, let's get that information for the people real quick, because I think something that he said that got him suspended for 6 months, if I've got my information correct, it's because he was on television telling people that there should be a bounty on someone, that someone should try to hurt someone else. But we'll get the details for you on that in a second. Before we get to that, though, did you see what happened with Bill Barnwell, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. I can understand the confusion.
Barney.
Yeah.
Come on. Yes.
I don't know how you make a living this way.
Good living.
Your contributions today are Barney, Baldy, Kish. Those are your contributions today. As a professional broadcaster, stealing money from Disney.
Yeah. Stealing quiche.
And now look at him. He's professionally broadcasting by sticking his forehead. He's got his back to the microphone and his forehead. He's red-faced with his forehead against the steel studio door, laughing at his own joke. Anyway, what I was saying is Bill Barnwell, first of all, did you guys hear the rumor that Randy Moss was almost traded to the Packers for Aaron Rodgers? Look that up as well.
What?
That is something that has made an appearance over the last 24 hours, and Bill Barnwell was where it is that I learned it. But Bill Barnwell put on Twitter a photograph, I don't know, or a video, I don't know if you remember this, of Randy Moss catching a touchdown against the Dolphins. And one of the most special, unstoppable things that I've ever seen in sports, not just football, was Tom Brady throwing deep to Randy Moss. I remember specifically Randy Moss, Tom Brady throwing deep to Randy Moss against the Dolphins in triple coverage. He just threw it up there because he knew Randy would go get it, and Randy went and got it. But Bill Barnwell put up a video of Tom Brady throwing a ball poorly to the corner of the end zone and Randy Moss jumping up over the safety to catch the ball when the safety was in perfect position and wasn't even a well-thrown ball. And what he wrote was, announcers said this was Moss wanting the ball more, which is probably true, but also that Moss was on another plane of existence. So what he said is that Randy Moss, the idea of announcers saying Moss wanted it more. Cameron Worrell, the safety who was jumped over on Twitter, saw this. And what he wrote is, I had 0 interceptions. He had 156 touchdowns. I promise you, I wanted it more.
That is a great response.
Right?
Yeah, perfect.
The idea of wanting it more as sports analysis stinks so much, and that's the reason. Right there. Cameron Worrell is telling you, man, that guy always caught the touchdown. I wanted one time to hold the football.
To get the best of Randy Moss.
One time. But I jumped up, and Tom Brady threw it to me, and then next thing I know, I'm on my back in the end zone. Randy Moss is celebrating because he's that much better than me. It's not because he wanted it more.
Brian Baldinger was actually suspended for something that he said on radio, and this sound comes courtesy of 97.5 The Fanatic, and this is what got him suspended.
This is the guy that we've got to hurt. This is the guy that we got to take out of the game. We've got to hit him there's got to be 10 guys that want to hurt him every single play. In fact, we may even put a little bounty on Ezekiel Elliott.
Is that worth that kind of suspension?
6 months without pay. Brian Baldinger doesn't think so because he's been very vocal about how it's too harsh.
It's a monster suspension, man.
6 months with no pay?
I find it funny that you get suspended more for saying that than for doing it and not having it found out about that you're doing it. Like if you put a bounty on someone, but you can't have it found out because the Saints proved, like that's where all Roger Goodell's reputation went to bleep, right? Right there with the Saints and the bounty when we all sort of knew it's a violent sport. Yes. And he was so heavy-handed with that's when everyone turned on him, employees and everyone else.
Well, apparently the NFL Network also thought it was too harsh because he said that back in November and they cut short his suspension. He returned to the airwaves in April.
Okay.
Well, what should the suspension for saying that be?
Well, if he worked anywhere else other than the NFL Network, would he have been suspended?
I don't know the answer to that. I doubt it. Probably.
If one of our NFL analysts said that, would they be suspended?
Probably not. I'm guessing, though, the NFL has such an image problem when it comes to violence in its sport that's how they handle something like that. Even that they handle heavy-handedly because they want to be tough on crime in ways that protect their image.
It's kind of annoying, though. We know what we're watching on Sundays.
Do we, though?
I think we do.
Do we, though? Because I think look, the science, we've learned more than we knew before about the dangers. But I still think that the NFL is trying to sell purity. The NFL is still trying to sell, we're trying to do things the right way. We're trying to do the moral thing. Like if you asked the NFL, are you a moral league? What do you think the answer to that is?
Oh, they would say yes.
But what do you think the audience's reaction to that is? Like, that's one of the things I find interesting about the difference between what they're selling us. I don't know that there's anything that I consume regularly that is being sold to me so fraudulently against what it actually is. Like, I know when I'm watching football, I'm headed to the gutter. Like, I'm going to cockfighting, it's bullfighting, it's dogfighting.
But you think you're in the minority on that? You don't think most people say the same things to themselves on Sundays? No,
I don't think anybody's
they're going to the height of entertainment?
Yes. This is a lot of fun to watch. I don't think there's much of a moral conundrum.
Do you think they care if they're bounties? Do you think people who watch football care if there is actually a bounty on Zeke Elliott?
No, but I think that's the disconnect that I find interesting.
Right.
The idea that your customers don't actually care, and yet you go to these lengths to sell us the idea, that's not something we do around here. We're not quite that barbaric. And it's just weird. Like, we know how barbaric you are.
Mm-hmm.
And how barbaric you are is part of the appeal.
Yes.
Why are you trying to disguise it, camouflage it at every turn? And the answer is America's children. It's our most precious resource, America's children, even though it's not, it's petroleum.
Well, it seems petroleum.
That's right.
I feel like we import most of that.
Yeah.
It's our most precious resource, petroleum. Put it on the poll. What's our most precious resource, America's children or petroleum?
Again, we import most of that. It's not really our resource.
Most of it.
I just thought it was a funny word, though. I think it's funnier to say
petroleum.
I think it's funny. The word itself is it's not. I didn't say oil. I didn't say gas. I said petroleum because it's a funnier word to make a more precious resource than little Joey.
Or Google what our most precious resource is.
What is America's most precious resource? Because I like the idea of petroleum being more precious as a resource than little Penelope.
Is it coal?
I'm on it.
It's water.
Water.
Wow.
Yep.
What?
Not oil.
Wait a minute.
Water.
What?
Water.
Think about all the countries that don't have clean drinking water.
That's a good point.
Put that on the poll at Batard Show. Did you know that water was actually America's most precious resource? Wait a minute. How are you doing the math on that?
We're not. Someone else is for us.
It's Rip on
The Economist.
Society. It's riponcociety.org.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
I'm running with that.
Hold on a second, though. In terms of, I'm not talking about
2015.
No, wait a minute.
This is all very fluid.
I'm talking about.
Wait. You thought we were doing the math on this?
No, I thought that you found something that chronicled empirically that water was our most precious resource because we were making more money off the exportation of water than anything else, which doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I shouldn't phrase it quite like America's most precious resource. America's largest export. Let's see about that. It's probably pornography.
What I'm saying about football is, to me it feels not unlike what I'm about to say, Stugotz. Let's say you're watching porn, and the porn industry is trying to tell you this isn't dirty. This is Americana. What you're watching is not dirty. This is American apple pie. And it feels like football is trying to sell you that while being pornography. It is pornography. We like it and we like you because you're pornography. And you keep trying to explain to us by suspending Brian Baldinger for months at a time that what we're watching isn't pornography.
All right. From courtesy WorldStopExports.com, they list the top 10 U.S. exports by dollar values.
Find out next!
Well,
Don Le Batard.
I don't like when, big time celebrities, they get so big and then they're going to write a children's book. It's an easy cash grab. And quite frankly, I don't need Jack White's advice on how to raise my children. It's annoying. Sorry. Jack White, please. Let me tell you, the last place I'm going for children advice, for child advice, for parenting advice is to Jack White and his stupid book. Jack White.
Stugotz.
And honestly, who is Jack White? Pretentious Jack White. Hey, I'm going to fire up a children's book. Tell you how to parent your kids. Leave me alone. Just write new songs. Stop writing books. Write new songs.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami Only hour that airs before the show. And now you can subscribe to our Best of Podcasts. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. Dan, it is time to pump the brakes. Can the Patriots pump the brakes on being annoying? Yesterday, they purchased not one, but 2 new airplanes. 2 big airplanes. All first-class seating. Very nice gesture for the players. The seats recline all the way back. You lay down like it's a bed. Here's the part that's annoying. You had to purchase 2. That's annoying. The other part that's annoying, I mean, one's enough. I mean, these things cost like $300 million. Stop shoving it in my face.
One's not enough.
Yeah, one's
There's a lot of people that travel with a football team.
Well, there's one for Gronk and one for the rest of the Patriots team. But the thing that's annoying is
$300 million. I don't believe it.
I think it's $200 to $300 million. I believe the type of jets that they bought.
You guys look that up for me. That sounds like way too much.
There is a reason why they had to buy jets. The NFL's partnership, I believe, with American ran out. So a lot of teams are going to be looking at planes. The Patriots just happen to
But
be
is
first.
that right? Is the figure that he's giving right? Because that doesn't sound right for an airplane.
Well, they were pretty big planes.
$300 million?
But these were like real airplanes, like not
fake
ones? Like commercial airlines.
Right. Well, we'll look it up.
We're looking it up. Anyway, the annoying part about the Patriots is they put all 5 Lombardi trophies on the plane. And it's just rubbing it in my face. Like, listen. When I'm down here and I'm on the land, I am constantly reminded of how dominant the Patriots are. But when I'm 30,000 feet, I don't need a reminder of just how dominant the Patriots are. So here's what I'm going to do as a Jet fan to counter this, okay? I'm going to buy my own plane. I'm going to put 5 middle fingers on my plane, and I'm going to fly my plane right next to the Patriots plane and give them 5 middle fingers. That is Pump the Brakes. It is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Order your parts online at AdvanceAutoParts.com and pick them up in store in just 30 minutes. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back on the road.
We'll go to Fats and Info in a second. I don't know what it is that you're coming to the microphone with. Is it with facts that would dispute Stugotz's claim that one of these airplanes cost $200 or $300 million?
Dan Ravel estimates that they paid $10 million for both.
Close.
Both.
I'm going to find the article. I don't believe it.
Stugotz.
I read it yesterday.
Stugotz.
Retention, not a strength.
He went into that Pump the Brakes with zero facts.
No, well, he went into Pump the Brakes with zero subjects that he was going to cover. He was asking me right before we started.
It was that or Jordan Spieth.
Should I do Jordan Spieth?
And while we're at it, let's pump the brakes on Jordan Spieth. I mean, he's won 3 majors. Everyone calling him Tiger Woods. Pump the brakes on Jordan Spieth. Do me a favor, Jordan. Okay? Win 6 or 7, and then we can start comparing you to Tiger Woods. But you've only won 3. Pump the brakes. That is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts.
Where did you come up with airplanes costing $300 million?
Huh. Hold on.
They do have, I do love that as a touch, right? Putting on the back of the airplane all 5 of your trophies. It's not the 5 trophies. It's somebody painted on the back of the plane 5 trophies.
In the same article, Ravel says that a new plane, the Patriots did not do that. They bought a used one.
Ravel's number sounds low, too. Like there are a few stops between $300 million and $5 million.
Well, a new plane would cost $200 million.
Boom.
You were wrong.
I mean,
well, how was I wrong?
Well, a brand new plane would cost $200 million.
Yeah, you said that they spent.
They bought a used plane.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Bob Kraft.
Wait a minute. How fast are planes depreciating? Wait a minute. Wait. Stop. Wait. You're telling me I can get something that used to be worth $200 million for $5 million? None of these numbers sound right. You can't get something that used to be $200 million for $5 million unless you're buying the Pontiac Silverdome right now in bankrupt Detroit because the taxes will cost you more than the land would.
Well, you know what they say, the car depreciates the second you drive it out the lot.
You don't go from $200 million to $5 million. And why is Bob Kraft using some sort of aircraft jalopy? Like, Stugotz is right with the second part of his point. Like, let's go. Bob Kraft, let's make it new. Like, these numbers don't sound right. None of them.
I feel like he just saved. Sounds right. I feel like he just saved at least $190 million.
Like, I mean, but wait a minute. If you could get a $200 million plane for $5 million, all of us would be going to the loan agent that Trump's kid has and not disclosing the $1 billion in loans.
You're wondering why more
son-in-law. Right?
You're wondering why more billionaires aren't buying used planes?
This is not right. Nothing we did in this segment was factually accurate.
I have the U.S.
Well, they bought planes.
Yeah, they did. Yes. I have the U.S.'s largest exports, but I'm kind of...
We'll get to that next.
Don Le Batard.
You're just allowed to give me one word on what you think. I tell you, American flag, you give me one word on what you think. Go ahead, Chris. You're only allowed one word.
Freedom.
That's what I was going to go with.
Stugotz.
Guillermo.
Bald Eagles.
What?
2 words.
Well...
I mean, God, $2.
That's a fine.
$2. I mean, $2.
That's a fine.
Do you realize? You realize how hard it is to be that bad with 2 words, man?
Apple pie.
I got 2 words for you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Memphis Grizzlies guard Ben McLemore underwent surgery to repair a non-displaced fracture of the 5th metatarsal in his right foot, and it is expected to be sidelined for 12 weeks, the team announced on Tuesday. Tiger Woods has agreed to plead guilty to reckless driving and will enter a diversion program that will allow him to have his record wiped clean if he completes the program, a prosecutor said Wednesday. Woods, 41, was charged with driving under the influence in May when he was found asleep in his Mercedes-Benz, apparently under the influence of a prescription painkiller and sleeping medication. No alcohol was found in his system. And finally, the first ever Cage Con pub crawl occurred last weekend in Stamford, Connecticut. The event was done in the spirit of SantaCon. Only Cage Con was a bar crawl where guests were invited to dress as their favorite Nicolas Cage character. Missed out on that, Mike. Experienced why for nearly a century, men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
What is the best Nicolas Cage character?
Ooh.
To dress up as?
To dress up,
no,
yeah,
or just what is the best Nicolas Cage?
Because they're two different things, clearly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for the clarification.
I would say Cameron Poe.
Really? Cameron Poe? You're
the
going...
best character and the best to dress up as.
Possibly,
Wait a minute. You guys are claiming that Nicolas Cage... Was that even a Nicolas Cage vehicle? I guess it was, right? It wasn't a John Malkovich vehicle.
Oh, that was a Nicolas Cage vehicle.
That was all Cage, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously. Take it easy there. Malkovich.
Right. Put down the bunny. You guys think Cameron Poe is the best
Put that bunny down.
Thank you, Mike. Excellent work, as always. Many people are calling and writing in that those aircrafts that Bob Kraft purchased, they're being called aircrafts with a K.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That most people buy planes when they're used, and they're between $5 and $65 million. A lot of people are writing in.
Okay.
Is anyone making this joke? But he already owned the jets.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Right there. What are you laughing at, Stugotz? Are you laughing at how unfair it is? How I still don't have control of the Hakeem Nicks laugh and or the loser game show sound because Mike Ryan's management style is just to hope that I forget.
Not today, man. I've received like 4 or 5 laughs, and you got the loser game show.
No, I don't feel like
Mike's
that.
doing a great job.
I don't
today.
feel like I deserve the loser game show sound there, regardless. We move on.
I'd like to control it, to be honest with you. I control what's funny and what's not funny.
No, you can't be trusted with that.
Okay.
Wow, that wasn't much of a negotiation. You just folded.
I mean, well, you told it. Yeah, I mean, you stated a fact, and it was hard for me to disagree with
Where's
it.
Joe West?
Oh, enough of him. I'm tired of him. Joe West. Big Joe West. What has he ever done? I don't care about Joe West. I'd stop promoting his website. Do not give out the website again. I don't care about Joe West.
I think we should now tell our listeners to ask for refunds from CowboyJoeWest.com.
What's the return policy
Return everything that we told you to buy earlier because we were interested in this cause. What happened, Allison? You seem very frustrated.
Well, I am, because he's now MIA, no answer, voicemail full, and it's annoying.
Okay, take your money back. Yep. Let's start complaining. Let's turn on Joe West now. Don't free Joe West. Let's add games to his suspension.
Before we were giving away prizes if you tweeted us a receipt that you purchased something. Now we're going to give you a prize if you tweet us that you return.
That's
some
right.
proof that you return whatever you purchased from JoeWest.com.
That's right. That's right. We will send you 2 T-shirts. Every person, not every person, because now people are going to buy things and then return them. But if you could show it before the show ends, if you could show us what happened, Guillermo, this is a terrible idea. This whole movement was terrible. Everything about this was terrible.
Do you know how things work? You can't buy and return something before it gets shipped to you online. How would you do that?
Well, cancel your order then. Let's see a canceled order, if you prefer. Thank you, Guillermo. Mike, what is America's most precious resource? What's the list of America's most precious resources?
Well, this turned out to be a difficult challenge, finding out our largest export.
Right, other than freedom, and America's children. What?
And pornography.
Thank you.
So I have 3 different sources. They all tell me something different. But I'm going to roll with the one that has MIT in the in the handle, and this is a study from 2015, and Dan was actually right a little bit. 4.9% of our exports were refined oils, energy, gases, coal, refined energy. So that was 4.9, and that was ahead of machinery, slightly ahead of machinery, aircraft, even computers, get lumped into that.
But children, not on there.
No, and not porn either.
Nope.
All right.
Or no freedom, or bald eagles.
So I can keep making that joke that America's children are not our most precious resource. Petroleum is our most precious resource.
You can. However, I did find this book called Garbageology. Wow. And they're saying that garbage is now America's biggest export, and this is why China's beating us, because they're taking our trash and turning it into goods.
Right. So smart, man.
What?
Seriously, they take what we don't want and they turn it into money.
Exactly. Look what happened with Stephon Marbury.
You know that's getting the Hakeem Nicks laugh because he controls.
I'm good with whatever he decides today, man.
Let's go back to what it is that we were discussing originally, which is the idea. You are in agreement with me, what I'm saying, that football is porn trying to disguise itself as something else. And not only is it porn trying to disguise itself as something else, it's porn trying to disguise itself as church-going. The way that football is trying to sell you purity at every turn. You agree with that, right?
100%.
That's why the whole thing, Roger Goodell's heavy-handedness in general, is born of that tension that we all knew to be fraudulent, Stugotz. And the moment the employees noticed it, it's when they turned on him publicly, when they noticed it with that New Orleans Saints Bountygate investigation, that the whole idea of it was come down hard on these barbarians as if they're not barbarians. And the barbarians rejected it. The barbarians are like, we know that you know that we're barbarians.
Right.
Don't do this.
So I agree with you. If they're sending that message out, who are they catering to? Is it kids? Is it moms? Who are they catering? Or is it the media? Because Dan, if we all agree we know what we're watching on Sunday, we know how violent it is, we don't believe any of this purity stuff, then who are they catering this message to?
It's propaganda meant to sell you an idea. It's meant to make it all palatable enough to keep it as popular as it is. Because if people keep looking under the carpet, Stugotz, they're going to notice the dirt.
Right. But the media is going to continue to look under the carpet. They're never going to stop.
Well, but what's going to happen is the Ray Rice stuff is going to happen. Bountygate is going to happen. All of these things are going to happen. Colin Kaepernick is going to happen. And none of it is actually going to matter. None of it matters in a way that hurts. Roger Goodell was on the precipice. He was in the fire. You've never seen anything like that. You have never seen in American sports history the American media turn on a commissioner and have it not matter. That the commissioner just sits there and is like, yeah, and what? And what? Yeah, you all think I should be fired? Okay.
Yep.
Not only am I not going to be fired, I am now no longer going to disclose my salary. I'm going to now, from now on, you guys won't even know what I earn. I'm going to go ahead and remove our tax-exempt status as an NFL office so that I no longer have to disclose my salary. In other words, go bleep yourself. Like, you think you've got the power to fire me? Nah. I'm going to get a raise, and you're not going to know about it because I'm going to get rid of our tax-exempt status for the NFL office because I'm going to hide my salary from now on, and you're never going to be able to say again how much I make.
It's part of my job for you guys to scream that I should be fired, and I'm fine with it.
That's
I make
fine.
more money.
That's part of my job. Yep. That's right, to take all those bullets on behalf of Jerry Jones so he could keep drinking his Johnny Walker Blue and get into the Hall of Fame with a bust that looks more like a human face than his human face.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard